Hello, I'm Bill Potter, and you're watching the 18 WJTS News. In news, southern Indiana has seen two ATV accidents that involve juveniles this week, with one causing a death. Honeyburg's Common Council meeting heard discussion over July 4th celebration state laws, while the Ferdinand Town Council heard about a proposed capstone project in the 18th Street Park. And finally, the local family-owned dairy farm of Lindauer and Sons will hold an open house this weekend for the public to take a peek into the world of dairy production. In our first story, southern Indiana has seen two ATV accidents this past week that involved juveniles, as one victim was life-flighted and the other accident resulted in a death. Yesterday afternoon, just after 3 p.m., Indiana conservation officers responded to a juvenile involved in a fatal ATV accident in Gibson County, as an 11-year-old juvenile victim of Hopstadt was operating a John Deere side-by-side ATV in a field, and after making a turn, the ATV rolled over, ejecting the driver, then landing and pinning him to the ground. The victim was transported to Gibson General Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Indiana conservation officers are investigating the ATV. No helmet or restraint harness was in use at the time of the accident. In a separate incident that occurred earlier this week in Daviess County, an 11-year-old boy was airlifted after an ATV accident that occurred Monday afternoon. Indiana conservation officers reported that an 11-year-old Daviess County boy was airlifted to St. Mary's Hospital in Evansville following an accident at an intersection of a dusty road where an 11-year-old boy was driving an ATV and failed to yield as he approached a van stopped at the intersection. Road dust is believed to have been a contributing factor, impairing the vision of the operator. The ATV clipped the back end of the van and flipped on its side, ejecting the victim and another passenger who was 9 years old. The 11-year-old driver suffered minor injuries. The 9-year-old passenger was not injured. The 11-year-old passenger also that was driving along suffered non-life-threatening head and leg injuries. None of the occupants were wearing a helmet or safety gear at the time of the accident. Concerns expressed to councilmen were addressed at last night's Honeyburg Common Council meeting about the use of fireworks. Councilman Tim Ware brought the concerns forward, acknowledging after speaking with local officials that while the city does not have ordinances on the issue, there is state law regulating the use. The council used this opportunity to invite Honeyburg Police Officer Lieutenant Tim Mullen to go over the state codes pertaining to the use of fireworks. The following is a list of state codes, or at least partial list of the state codes. Number 1, fireworks can only be used from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. except on holidays when that time is extended to midnight, or December 31st when fireworks can be fired until 1 a.m. on January 1st. 2, fireworks can only be ignited at a special discharge location or on private property where permission has been given. 3, a person must be 18 years old or older unless supervised by an adult to use fireworks. There, of course, are other rules. Those are the important ones. To violate these state codes is a Class C infraction. And if there is another violation within 5 years of citation, then it becomes a Class C misdemeanor. If fireworks are used in any way, recklessly, knowingly, or intentionally causing damage to property, then it becomes a Class A misdemeanor. If the fireworks are used in any way, recklessly, knowingly, or intentionally causing harm to a person, then it becomes a Class 6 felony. If that use results in a death, then it's elevated to a Level 5 felony. In Ferdinand, the Ferdinand Town Council faced a lengthy meeting despite the absence of Clerk-Treasurer Bev Schulteis and Councilwoman Debbie Johnson during last night's monthly meeting. The council received good news as they learned that the 2017 Leadership Academy has picked the 18th Street Park for their capstone project. Emily Foose, a member of the 5-member team for the Dubois County Leadership Academy, proposed a plan for implementing a musical park installation at the 18th Street Park. The Leadership Academy has chosen Ferdinand as their place for the project, citing their inspiration to place the musical playground in Ferdinand as the town has a rich musical setting with the Ferdinand Folk Fest and the Heimat Fest. The new musical park would include 4 different permanently affixed instruments that would provide hours of fun, help build reasoning skills, confidence, and cognitive development, encourage creativity and self-expression. Foose highlighted that the group had already received a quote for around $16,400, but that could be less if utilizing the town's tax ID to bypass sales tax. However, Foos noted that the cost really depends on how many pieces the ensemble would include. Before the Leadership Academy begins fundraising, they wanted to hear the thoughts of the council. Council President Ken Seacard noted that he is honored that Ferdinand had been chosen for the project. Fundraising for the musical project will include tax-free donations from businesses and individuals, along with the group taking advantage of the available grants. If you would like to support a musical park in the 18th Street Park in Ferdinand through the means of a monetary donation, you can make checks payable to DuBois County Leadership Academy and mail them to Chris James, Attention Leadership Academy Group, Ambiguous Quintet, P.O. Box 7, Ferdinand, Indiana 47532. Local emergency crews were on the scene of a two-vehicle accident that took place this morning along State Road 56 just west of Ireland. The accident is estimated to have happened around 8:30 this morning, resulting in a possible entrapment of at least one person with possible serious injuries. At least 2 ambulances were called to the scene. Lifeline was summoned to Memorial Hospital in Jasper. State Road 56 was closed for about 45 minutes with traffic rerouted to nearby county roads. We'll have more on the details on this accident as they are made available to WJTS. Recently, our news department had the privilege to take a tour of a local dairy farm. Here is Joy Holt of WJTS News with the story.
A family lineage that has lasted over 3 generations is thriving on the outskirts of Ferdinand. The Francis Lindauer and Sons Farm is a family operation that began in 1933 by Francis Lindauer, the patriarch of a family that still works together to preserve a strong work ethic, and has continued to be passed down now in its 3rd Lindauer generation. The Francis Lindauer and Sons Farm, a dairy farm seeing 380 milking cows that produce around 3,200 gallons of milk a day, will be hosting this weekend a tour of their facilities. What does it take to maintain 380 dairy cows? Well, lots of around-the-clock maintenance. And at a workforce of 5, these group of farmers see ice cream in their sleep. The Lindauers recently completed construction on a new barn in 2016, along with a new double 12 parallel milking parlor, allowing them to milk 24 cows at a time. The parlor also features an observation room for curious onlookers. The new barn has provided the best environment for the cows as it provides protection from the heat along with the humidity with its large fans and sprinkler system. The sprinkler system is attached to a thermostat, and when it is triggered, the cows experience a mist for about 1 minute with 3-minute intervals in between. Along with the sprinkler system, the barn features an automatic waterer, an automatic Juno feed pusher, free stalls, and a manure scraper system. The freestall barn system have steel dividing bars and a raised bedded area with a cushion covered by sawdust sheets, all for the cows to lie down and stay out of the walkway, where the manure scraper system clears out the barn twice daily, usually when the cows are being milked. Of course, as usual on a farm, nothing goes to waste as the manure is turned back into fertilizer for the 700 acres that provide feed for the herd. Greg Lindauer, a owner and operator of the farm, shared how they were a bit ahead of schedule with planting crops despite rain this year.
The crops were a little earlier than normal overall. We had some planted, probably about 70 acres in late April. Some of that we had to replant. And then in mid-May, we planted a good portion of the crop, and then we finished up here in the first week or so of June.
Okay, and what do you grow?
We grow corn, soybeans, wheat, alfalfa. Those are the majority.
And is it all for the cattle?
It's all for the cows, except for the soybeans. We sell them
Okay.
and then buy corn or whatever else we need with that.
The Lindauers keep busy, and Doug Lindauer, who spends his time working and overseeing the operations of the milking parlor, gives an overview of his daily routine.
Mostly I deal with the parlor part of it, and then I do like the record keeping of the cows and everything. Well, we bring the cows up to the parlor, and then they are prepped and disinfected, and then they're milked twice a day. We milk at 1 o'clock in the morning and 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We're shipping right at about 40,000 pounds every 2 days.
All of the milk produced at Lindauer's farm is sold to Prairie Farms, with it being a grade A product, as all milk on the farm is contained once it leaves the cow and is transported to a holding tank. Jake Lindauer, who has been working alongside his cousins Doug and Greg since they could walk, shared how they continue to work together and maintain an affinity for each other.
So whenever we were little, we would always come down here and we would make forts and hide in the hayloft, and as boys would do, we threw mud balls at each other and whatever else we could pick up in our hands. It's always been fun. We've cried, we've laughed, we've done it all. So that's probably why we can have the relationship that we do and still keep on doing what we love.
To celebrate National Dairy Month, Francis Lindauer and Sons Farm is hosting an open house event this Saturday from 1 to 4 p.m. and will be providing tours every 20 minutes along with fun activities for the kids. This is the second open house tour event for the farm, with the aim for the Lindauers to provide access for the general public to come tour the farm and learn about the dairy industry and see it in its daily operations. The first open house in 2016 hosted over 1,000 visitors. The tour on Saturday is set to begin at 1 p.m. so you can see the start of the milking process. Francis Lindauer and Sons Farm is located in Ferdinand on South Club Road, just off of East 23rd Street. The open house event on Saturday will be from 1 to 4, and visitors will get a chance to watch 380 cows be milked. And of course, the Lindauers will be offering Prairie Farms dairy ice cream for visitors to enjoy at the completion of their tour.
That's been a look at your local news. Now stay tuned. We'll have your local weather outlook and weather forecast coming up right after this on 18 WJTS.